So I want to address the people. Peace, blessings, and prosperity to all my people. My name is Charles Thomas. I'm also known as Flintstone in the hood, but my spiritual name is Sadiqullah. The reason I'm doing this video is I've been encouraged by a number of friends and family members to do this video and to tell my story publicly. So, um, that's why I'm doing it. Also, I feel like it's a necessity at this time because of all that we see happening socially. Um, so, where do I start? I guess I start. I was raised in Detroit, so that's where I'll start. When I was 5 years old, I had an experience that somewhat changed my perspective on the way I see the world. So I think that's where I'll start. What I'll start with. So there was an occasion where, when I was 5 years old, maybe kindergarten, first grade, whatever grade you're in at that age, I went to a apple orchard with my school as a class, traveling event where you go on the field trip. So for those of you who don't know, Michigan is famous for its apples. So leaving Detroit City, um, we went to we went to a apple orchard somewhere in Michigan. I cannot say exactly where this apple orchard was because I was 5 years old and it's not a clear memory in that sense. But the details of the memory are. So we on the bus, we travel out to this orchard, and on the travels, this is my first time like being out of the city. So it's pretty interesting. I see trees, I'm seeing woods and things that I don't see. You grew up in the city, you see glass and bricks and you know traffic and the chaos of the city. So that's what I have been used to seeing. And when I was 5 and I got to go out, on this field trip, and we saw the apple orchard, I saw all of the stuff outside of the city. I saw the beauty of nature, and so it was really, 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 intriguing to me to see that there's like almost two worlds, right? I live where I live, and I've never seen this type of beauty. You know what I mean? And so when I go out there, I see these trees, and so we get to the apple orchard, and of course, there's a bunch of apple trees, and but what was unique to me and what I thought was interesting was that the guy had cows, right? So you're 5 years old, a cow is it's the first time I've ever seen a cow in real life. I'm from the city. So the first time I see a cow, I'm like amazed. It's huge, right? Like, oh my God, this animal can eat me. It's big enough to bite me and eat me. I'm 5 years old. I'm a little dude. So a cow is huge. If someone's never seen a cow in real life, it's a huge animal. So, the owner of the apple orchard has a family. He has a daughter. She looks to be 15 or 16. He has two sons, maybe 14 and 16 or so. So they're all, teenage kids. Um, and he has a wife, and, he's an older white guy. And they have a farm that has apple orchards, and they're producing like cider and everything that you make from apples. So as a kid, that was exciting. But what was most exciting to me was seeing this cow. It was like amazing. Like, wow, I'm looking at his teeth huge. Just like, man, I'm just, shook by the cow. Like, man, I never seen something like this. So I'm thinking to myself on the way home, they give us a bag of goodies, right? You got apples, different kinds of apples, the green apples, the red apples, you different, ciders and apple sauce, just everything that they produce from apples. So they give, this as like a to-go bag for all of us. And so that's what I have when I'm leaving. We on the bus home, riding back home, and I'm just, still kind of like tripping about the whole thing. Like it's a whole world, you know what I mean? A whole world outside of my world. So when I have this experience, when I get back to the house, to mom, eventually the trip's over. She picks us up, whatever, we go back home. And so I come in the house, I got the bag of goodies with all the apples or whatever. And so I give mom the apples, whatever in that. And she like, oh, wow, you got a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah. But the first thing I hit her with, first question I asked mom, I'm like, so mama, you have fun, yeah, have fun, go through all that stuff, and you have fun, yeah, it was a beautiful time, all that, whatever. So the question that I had though is like, I'm looking at the cows, I'm still tripping on the cows. It's huge, right? When you're a kid, mom tell you, McDonald's made out of beef, beef, hamburger, cow, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm associating these things, right? I'm thinking to myself, wow, right? This is what I'm thinking on the way home. Like, how many McDonald's hamburgers can you get out of one cow? Right? I'm 5 years old, so I don't have no large grasp of numbers, so I'm just tripping, like, wow, right? So I'm thinking of my mom when I get home, right? And I'm like, that's what I hit her with. She tripping on the apples and the applesauce, and I'm like, Mama, you know, how many McDonald's hamburgers can you get out of one cow? She like, what? Like, what? Where this coming from? What you talking about? Why you asking me this? You got these apples, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my man who got the farm, with the apples, the apple orchard, he also had cows. Like, he had a bunch of cows, like hundreds of cows, and so you're a kid. That's just, that's what I'm amazed. So I tell her that. She like, oh, okay, I see where you at. So she like, I don't know. She, run her numbers. I don't know. McDonald's hamburger pretty small. Maybe you could get 20,000. 20,000 McDonald's hamburgers out of one cow, right? And so I'm 5 years old. So when your mom, which is your life authority, tells you that one cow could probably produce 20,000 hamburgers, and you don't have no full grasp of what 20,000 is, that might as well be a million to you, right? You don't know. So it's just like, oh my God, right? Big number. Oh my God, it's such a huge number. And so that's where I'm at. I'm like, just blew back, right? Like, oh my God, one, because my man had 100 cows or 200 cows or however many, you a kid, you don't know, but he had a bunch of cows. So that's where I'm at. I'm tripping. And so, go in my room, whatever, playing with my toys. But I'm also thinking whatever about, going along with the day. But I'm also thinking about the amount of burgers you can get out of one cow. And so, maybe an hour later, I come back to mom and I'm like, Mom, I figured it out. And she like, what you talking about? And I'm like, look, you know, the man, you said the man, like, okay, so this was going on. The man at the farm, at the apple orchard, he got, I seen his whole family, right? I seen his wife, I seen the sister, I seen what his daughter, but I seen two sons, his daughter, his wife, and himself. I'm explaining this to my mom, and this is his family, and he had all of these apples, and he had all of these cows. And I'm like, Mom, I figured it out. If my man at the farm get my man on the corner who always talking about he hungry, one of them cows, right? He'll be good for a long time. I'm thinking years, 20,000 burgers out of one cow. I'm thinking years. He good. So if my man who at the farm who got all these cows more than him and his family can ever eat in his whole lifetime, give that man on the corner who don't never have nothing one of his cows, then right, all is well, right? This is the child's mentality, right? So she like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So she hear my little story, but she kind of snicker at the end, like, haha, and I'm, and I make a face, kind of like, I guess she saw me looking kind of disturbed by her laughing because I'm feeling like a genius. I just figured something out major that the world probably ain't never paid attention to. I'm 5, so this is my thinking, right? And so I'm like, she see my face and she like, oh, baby, I'm not laughing at you. I'm sorry, I ain't laughing at you. And she like, you know what I'm laughing at? And I'm like, no, what? And she like, what you said is true. Everything that you just told me is true. But that's not how the world is. That ain't how the world is. The world ain't that way. And she began to explain to me the Matrix, which I hated. I hated it. So what happened in that point, though, that the point of the story is that when she told me that my perception and my deductions were correct, yet the world didn't move that way and was not in agreement, and that ain't how the world is, that gave me a, I guess, mind altering perception, right? It gave me a different perception of the world than I had before that, because What I knew was that my mama not gonna lie to me, and that my mom just told me what I said was the truth. Okay, she said, "You're right. That's correct. Everything you said is right and correct. It's exact. It's true. But that is not the way the world is." That was enough. Okay, so it let me know that I was sound. I was correct. I was right. I was spiritually imbalanced. I didn't know what that meant at that time, but that the world I was growing up in and that I lived in, and that my, you know, environment, showed me wasn't always correct. And so that caused me to be very critical in my thinking from the age of 5 years old. My mama don't even, I'm not even sure if my mom remembers this happening, but that's the experience that I had. That's what I took from it. So with that occurring, that gave me a different perspective on how the world worked, and I began to see the world from a different perspective. And so, with that being said, now I'd like to talk to you about a lot of other things that have progressed through, my life. And so I guess this is just the beginning, step one, day one of my testimony.